I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire, I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire, I wanna be a billionaire.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Stop the Bank ENT TV. Now my next guest is a well-rounded comedian, actor, writer. I'm sure you've seen him on Def Comedy Jam. If you live in LA, he's tearing up the streets in every comedy club. You'll see his name on the bill. You've seen his work on Cop Out with Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, CORY FERNANDEZ.
Thank you. Damn, that was a nice intro, bro.
Thank you, man. You know, I've been working on it all last night.
For real, because I was like, yo, who else he got on this show tonight? This definitely ain't me.
Nah, man, I definitely, like I said, I've been a fan of your work for a while, man, and I definitely think you're a great representation of Latino excellence, you know, coming out here chasing your dreams, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing the same thing, and you're really making a mark in this comedy game, you know what I'm saying? I'm proud of you, brother, and I wish you much success.
Appreciate you,
know
my
what I
dude.
mean?
Appreciate you.
For real, man. So tell me, what made you decide to make comedy your career goal?
You know how like a lot of people say they do it for the love and their passion and, you know, because it's what they love? Mm-hmm. I just didn't want to get a real day job.
Hey.
Fuck the love, fuck the passion. I ain't want to get a job. It was my way out.
Right. So
No. You know, I've been a fan of comedy all my life, man. You know, it starts in the classroom. Mm-hmm. A lot of comedians start in the classroom. That's your first audience.
Right.
You know, and I got in trouble for it a lot, you know.
So that means you were good or you were bad in comedy?
Well, you know, now I'm known as CORY fucking Fernandez. But before CORY fucking Fernandez, I was Corny Cory.
Oh.
That was me in school, Corny Cory, because I wasn't always funny, but I always tried. I always tried.
Got knocked down, got up and fought again.
Exactly. And you know, that's how it started, man. I took speech classes and I started learning about public speaking and like, you know, they used to do like these comedy shows around my way in Brooklyn, East New York, Linden Boulevard Movie Theater. Shout out A.G. White, Ray DeJean was good. Mm-hmm. And I used to go there and I was like, man, you know, I want to get into this, but I don't know how. Mm-hmm. And A.G. White, he told me, he was like, yo, put your funniest 5 minutes together and then come back and see me. That's exactly what I did, man. I wrote down 5 minutes, got on stage. The first dude that ever put me on stage was Donnell Rawlins, Ashy Larry from Chappelle's Show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
And it was at the spot in Brooklyn, Footprints, Bar and Grill, Jamaican, like this hood Jamaican bar.
Straight beef patties.
They don't even laugh if it ain't about Jamaican shit. They be like,
yeah.
You think you're funny? And you know, that was my first spot. Imagine your first time doing comedy. I mean, all right, I'm lying. The first time I tried it was at a talent show in college.
Okay.
I was going, shout out CUNY, Kingsborough Community College, the 13th and 14th grade of high school. And that was the first time I got on stage. And then the first show I did was the one with Donnell at Footprints Cafe in Brooklyn. It was like East Flatbush, Canarsie area. But I've always been a fan. So you take being a fan, I always had like the HBO 1 hour specials.
Right.
Like I had a stack of VHS tapes. You know, everybody. I recorded everybody, man. My favorite dude to watch was George Carlin.
Okay.
You know, rest in peace. Now, you know, you got Chappelle, Chris Rock, you know, all those guys. So you go from being a fan to, you know, realizing that all your life you've been doing this in the classroom and you just connected to and you're like, yo, I think I can do this.
Right.
And that's what gave me the guts to ask, you know, that A.G. White for the first time, yo, I want to do this, but how do I do this?
That's dope, man. That's real good, man. It's like, yeah, some people, it takes them a while to put two and two together. It's like you've been doing this all your life, but you never thought it can be a career for you. You just do it naturally. But it's like when you do what you love naturally, it's like you don't feel like you're working. So that's good that you kind of figured that out, and at such a young age to kind of jump in there and pursue it. You know what I'm saying?
It's so important, bro, because the same way that, you know, it takes the ability of a comedian to be able to recognize the funny. So a situation can happen and it could go right over a bunch of other people's heads, but the comedian will be like, yo, did you see how he just and makes it, he sees it.
Right.
You know? It's like when Neo saw The Matrix, you know? And the same way that they have that ability, it's important for everyone, comedian or not, to be able to recognize their calling.
Right.
Some people don't. Some people don't. And some people, they realize that they like things and never really take it seriously enough to go full force with it. They just treat it like a hobby.
Right.
You
And that's
know?
what it ends up being.
Yeah. And that's what you got to ask yourself. I had to ask myself that question. I still ask myself that question to this day, you know. Is this, you know, a career or is this a hobby? You know, am I leisurely writing or am I diligently writing?
Right.
You know, like, how am I treating this? And, you know, we fall short a lot sometimes, and we feel like we're falling short, you know. But that's one thing for sure, is that to be a comedian, you got to be a writer.
Right.
You got to be a writer. If you ain't a writer, this ain't for you.
Yeah, I hear that, man.
You got to keep creating, keep writing, keep getting on stage, keeping up with the times,
Right.
keeping relevant, you know.
And that brings me to my next question. You know, tell me about the grind of a stand-up comedian. You know, from the legwork you have to put in to book the show, and then after you book the show.
Well, you know, I was fortunate enough because in my first year of doing comedy, I got on BET. So I kind of catapulted.
I'm in the wrong business.
I catapulted past a lot of new comics, you
Right.
know, and because of that, my path was a little slightly different. You know, like, I kind of grew fast because of that. Like, you know, from that television show to touring nationally.
Wow.
You know, at the time I was studying music at City College.
Oh, really?
I went from Kingsborough. I transferred to City College in Harlem, and I was studying music. And when I got on the TV show, they wanted to put us on a national tour. Like, it was like, I think, like 30 cities.
Wow.
And imagine, I just been doing comedy a year. I'm brand new. I'm like 23.
Right.
You know?
And all this came from that first show.
From the first show. And now I'm like, you know, I'm studying music, and I dropped out. I left school. I went on tour.
Wow.
And
I would have did the same thing.
Yeah. And you know, it like I said, it catapulted me into this whole lifestyle that I didn't know about. Before that, I was a new comic doing a bunch of free shows.
Right.
And when you ask about the grind, that's the grind. When you first start, it's a lot of free shows because, one, you got to get good.
Right.
You got to get good. Like, we suck in the beginning. Your jokes suck. You suck. We all suck. And then it takes time to get good and build the jokes and realize your voice and all that stuff. And, you know, and two, nobody's going to put money in your pocket when you're new.
That's a
unless
fact.
you have some kind of draw, some kind of something that makes them want to book you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so without those things, you know, you're basically running around doing a lot of free shows, just getting your name out there, getting good, getting better. And, you know, and like I said, from that show, I started booking other stuff after that. And then, you know, I was working constantly.
Right.
So I feel like the game has been good to me, man. That came early.
Okay.
And, you know, it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's like one of those things where it's like you go through the peaks and valleys where 1 minute you're busy, the next minute you're not. 1 minute is you're moving everywhere, the next minute is slow.
Yeah.
You know, but that comes up with longevity.
Right.
You know, that comes with being around for a while. You get to see the peaks and the valleys. When you're new, you know, it's either, you know, the one-hit wonder or, you know, no hits at all.
Right.
You're just trying it and bombing and crashing and burning.
Every time.
Every time. So, you know, it's about maturing and realizing, okay, in the beginning of comedy, you're trying to figure out, am I funny? Can I do this? Do I got this? And then it goes from you just doing silly jokes about stuff that you observe throughout the day.
Right.
You're just talking about anything, random stuff, just to show that you have it and have the ability to create funny stuff.
Right.
Then it goes from that to, once you know you're funny and you know you can do it, it goes from to reining it in, now controlling it, now talking about the stuff you want to talk about, and not being a funny guy, not being a guy telling funny jokes, but just being a funny guy, you know, just talking,
right?
You know, and that's a difference. So it goes from random topics that you just thought were funny to, all right, now how can I start making my material about content, about quality, about how can I start talking about something, talking about something real now, you know, not just silly, stupid jokes.
Exactly.
I want to have a message now. I want to have a voice, you know, this comes with a responsibility. So, you know, I feel like that's where I'm at now. I'm trying to go from like dumping my old stuff to where it was just a bunch of silly, funny, you know, stupid stuff, to really having a voice and having something to say that's, you know, that's meaningful and you know,
impact.
It has an impact on people. It you know, the social commentary. You know, like, I mean, think about it though. There's so much shit going on,
that anybody could relate to, especially in society, politics, and stuff like that. That you can incorporate in your material to grab the attention of the folks. It's like I go to a comedy show, and as soon as he mentions something about, like, for example, Donald Trump or something, of course you already know. I'm like, oh, I'm all there. Yeah, I agree already. I ain't even hear the joke. You know,
exactly.
So implement that, and I think that'll definitely help you a lot. But I'm sure you do that already now, right? Right. Do you write your own material?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of those things where it's kind of different from music. Like music, it's okay to have a ghostwriter. You know, people do that all the time. Like, you know, it's called collaborating. Right. But with comedy, you know, they take joke writing very seriously and joke stealing very seriously. You know, so you gotta be, in order to be respected, you gotta have your own stuff. You know. Okay. Now you could have a comedy buddy and you guys come up with jokes together. You know, there's nothing wrong with bouncing ideas off of each other, but to really be respected, you gotta like come out with your own stuff, and then once you have a name and you up there, then maybe you could hire a team of writers, just to stay relevant and keep up, because you know it's hard to, you know, like Kevin Hart dropping a new hour special every year, that's hard, you know.
Yeah, especially I'm sure he's getting booked to show up at clubs, and this book signing here, like he probably doesn't even have a lot of time to write, you know, being that busy. So I could imagine at that point in your career, then you would hire in. Yeah. You know, have you ever used writers before? Like had a team of writers to write for you?
Yeah. Well, I worked on a few pilots.
Okay.
You know, one was a sketch show.
Okay.
And it was one of those sketch shows where the people who were the characters and the actors on the show were also the writers, and they wrote their own sketches. Oh. Okay. So if you wanted to be on the show, you had to create a sketch. And if you didn't create a sketch, you were just being one of the side people. You know, you weren't being like the main people. Right. So that was a lot of fun because, you know, you're in a writing room. It was my first time in a writing room, and, you know, you're really bouncing ideas off. The second time was in college, you know. Okay. I went back to school later on to study film. Okay. And that's when, you know, I took a screenwriting class. And so the screenwriting class is basically where we all bounced ideas off of each other. Right. You know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. So so since you've focused on writing, it sounds like you put a lot of energy and education to being a good writer. You wrote on Laugh-A-Palooza with Jamie Foxx, right? Tell me about that experience.
That was my first time on Comedy Central. And man, when I tell you this was a movie, this was like right around the time Jamie won the Oscar for Ray. Oh yeah. So he was like bigger than the world. And I had done BET already and a couple other things, and I tried out for this festival. Jamie Foxx used to do this festival called Laugh-A-Palooza, where all the comedians would go to Atlanta for a whole weekend, and it was a weekend of activities for like all the comics. Like in the daytime, it was like seminars and like workshops. And then at night was the comedy shows, and then after that was the after parties. Imagine like a film festival, but a comedy festival, right? And like an urban one in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was nuts, dog.
It sounds like what is it? SXSW over there in Texas. Yeah, South by Southwest.
Yeah. It's something like that, you know. And Jamie Foxx ran it, like, you know, he was the name behind it. and so that was my first time. They would used to record it. They aired it on Comedy Central. I went out there, and you already know Atlanta's how Atlanta is.
Yeah.
Atlanta's so much fun. It's off the chain. Now I'm this new comedian, and now I'm in this class of new comedians that's running around. We all doing these shows in Atlanta for this festival, and then at the end I get to tape this big show where Jamie Foxx is the host.
Right.
You know?
I know that had to be like, oh my God, like my hero.
T.I. came through. It was off the chain.
That's cool as hell, man.
Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous before a performance?
The little ones, no. Like when I first started, every show made me nervous. Now the little ones, not so much. It's the big ones. The big ones make me nervous. But like the little bar shows, I've done so many of those already.
Yeah.
It's not really a big deal to me. But like if I go like the theater shows, like you flying out of town, or those big ones, I still get nervous for those. Because it's what makes it exciting.
Right.
What makes me nervous is not being nervous. Because then it's not exciting anymore. You know?
Yeah. Oh man, that's probably when it starts feeling like work. It's like, oh God. That's crazy, man. So tell me, what do you do to prepare for a show? To kind of decrease the nervousness.
You run your set by. So I try to incorporate my set by mostly prepared stuff with a little bit of improvisation.
Okay.
So the prepared stuff is the skeleton of the set.
Okay.
This is the bullet points that you want to hit throughout the set.
Right.
And then the meat and potatoes and all the stuff in between is, the improvisation, messing with the audience, going off the top of the head about stuff that you didn't prepare before. So you mix all that in together.
Yeah.
So when I'm heading to a show, I think about the skeleton. I think about where I want to start, where I want to end up, where I want to be in the middle. And then when I'm on stage, I just let it flow in between,
Yeah, it's good how you kind of got it broken down in your mind that way. I mean, everybody has their own process, so that's pretty dope. I mean, that's the first time I heard that. It's like building the skeleton to form the body and then move. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up, man.
Yeah, because you want to have some kind of plan.
Yeah.
A lot of rookies, they want to just go up there with no plan, and then they're up there, at a loss for words,
Yeah.
So, you want to have some kind of plan. Just in case the improvisation is not working, you want to have a go-to where you could get them back.
Right.
Because then if you lose them and you lose them too long, it's hard to get them back. The longer you lose them for, the harder it is to bring them back.
Yeah. It sounds like you like a point, like you remember the part that happened to you in life. Tell me about that, like that you lost them and tried to get them back, and what was the outcome?
It was this huge show in Atlanta, another show in Atlanta, and this time T.I. was the producer.
Okay. Shout out T.I., Grand Hustle.
And Lil Duval?
Yeah, comedian dude.
He was the host.
Okay.
So now this show here was like, let me tell you, the whole place was jammed. The parking lot was a movie.
Ooh.
Like, that's how I would do before I went inside, because the parking lot was nuts with all these cars in the parking lot, fancy cars, girls everywhere, ATL strippers, Grand Hustle was in the building, like, Young Dro and all of them.
Yeah.
And so now I go inside. And when they start the show, they have the show set up like on some amateur night at the Apollo shit.
Oh man.
Yes. So Duval comes out and he's like, "Hey, if we don't like them, what we gonna do?"
And then
they do their whole shit. So I go up there. I try to crack jokes about Lil Duval. The shit went nowhere. Like, I got like chuckles.
Oh man.
Then I was like, all right, fuck it. Then I started trying to crack jokes over T.I.
Oh no, the producer. Oh no, you trying to get banned from LA? From Atlanta. Yeah.
I tried to roast T.I. That shit didn't go nowhere. Before you know it, boo! Get your ass off the stage!
Oh my God.
There was nothing left to do, bro, but get the hell out of there.
Oh man. Damn, so there was no getting him back.
Yo, the worst part too, dog, was that I invited this girl in Atlanta that, like when you be chatting with a chick online and like, oh, we gonna meet up.
Yeah.
She comes to the show finally, we meet up, it's our first time.
And that sucks because you trying to show off for the chick. Like, yo, come see me at my show, baby. And then you got booed.
I mean, think about it. All I had to say was, hey, I'm doing a show with produced by T.I.
Yeah.
Once you say that, I probably already had her.
Yeah.
All I had to do was deliver.
Yeah. That's all you had to do.
All I had to do. And so that show right there, that was like one of the big L's that, you know, when you think about, you know, when you think of, like, it's one of those that it shapes you and it forms you, and it was a lesson.
Right.
It was a lesson for sure.
I'm sure.
And, you know, the truth of the matter is, man, you could really say and get away with anything. Mm-hmm. You just gotta say it the right way.
Yeah.
You know, that's what that taught me. Like, I probably could have still roasted T.I. or Duval and gotten away with it had I known the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, but I probably said it in a way where it seemed like, oh, here comes the New Yorker hating on Atlanta. Mm. You know, and you already know Atlanta feels like we be doing like that. You know, like they feel like a little.
I think the whole USA feels like that. It's like New York is its own country, and that's how we feel. We represent. No, I get that, man. I mean, well, you know, at least it made you better. It sounds like it made you stronger. You know, made your skin tougher. You know, I'm sure being in Atlanta stage, man. So, let's see here. So, tell me, what do you feel about comedian beef? You know, you see the whole thing with Michael Blackson, Kevin Hart, tweeting back and forth and all that stuff. What are your thoughts on the whole beef thing and on that situation with Michael Blackson and Kevin Hart?
Well, I think that, you know, on the surface, it looks funny. It looks like, come on, comedians, y'all beefing, you know, and it looks stupid. But the truth is, why not? You know, everybody's beefing, no matter what. I'm sure there's priests beefing with each other. Right. You know, like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a human being, you're going to have conflicts with another human being. Right. And, you know, so I think it's silly for people to think that it's silly that comedians get beef. Mm-hmm. Because it's just regular people beef. Right. The thing with Kevin Hart and Michael Blackson, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we're all comedians. Mm-hmm. It's like every man for himself. Yeah. You know? But at the same time, you know, he's also saying, like, he's surprised that it was him, that it's coming from him. Like, you know, like, out of all people, you know? Yeah. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I guess you really have to question their relationship. And is the relationship as, like, close and meaningful as Kevin's making it seem, where he's that surprised about, or, you know, that disappointed about Michael talking shit? Right. Or is it not that close where, you know, Mike was just doing what every other comedian does to whenever shit happens? Right. You know? And I hear you. And then, you know, you also see, like, the stuff where, you know, the Instagram comedians versus the stand-up comedians. Right. How do you feel about that? What's interesting is that it's such an interesting dynamic, because the Instagram comedians have the draw. Mm. So they pack this place out, but then they got to follow some real heat of a headliner who's been, or, you know, doing it for much longer than them, and that's where you see the dynamic. Mm-hmm. That's where you see it. You see the place is packed because he got the followers, but then you see the performance of him headlining behind all these real, you know, comedians, and, you know, you could tell the difference between the laughs. Yeah, you can hear it, you can see it, that it's not the same. But I think there's a lesson to be learned here on both ends. Mm-hmm. Like, this is like almost like back in the days when black and white film got sound for the first time. Yeah. And these silent actors had to transition from being a mime silent actor into being like a regular, not overdoing it and using the voice to really show attitude. Right. You know? And it's the same thing now. Now we're, you know, the millennials and digital media and social media is changing all this stuff, and the people who are going to have a hard time adapting to that are going to be those silent actors who fell to the wayside because they couldn't keep up. Right. You know? And so I think that, you know, the Instagram comedians are basically showing us what we could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it than that,
Right.
you know? And it's also a question of how much of it do you verbalize and how much of it do you shoot? What do you say on stage and what do you choose to shoot in front of the camera? You know, or you can do both. You'll do the verbal thing and then shoot the sketch.
Right.
You know, but I like the fact that now we could really take our careers more control of our careers and bring it more into our own hands. That's what these guys are doing.
Yeah,
they're taking the initiative, shooting this stuff, getting the followers, and getting money from it.
Right.
And we can learn from that. You know.
Yeah, they definitely are taking. I say content is king. You know, and they taking advantage with meaningful and meaningless content, and they flooding the market. Like even if you don't like this something, like this post that King Bach is his name, King Bach, that he put up. He got like 50 other following that, you know, so you check out on, you got like one of them, next thing you know, you follow them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's about pumping the content, you know, like you got to just keep creating.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so tell me, have you ever experienced being heckled by someone at your shows, you know, in the audience, kind of, you know, talking that shit to you and you kind of had to go back at them? Tell me, has that ever happened to you and how did you handle it?
Yes, it's happened to me way too many times. It's a broad range of, you know, positive, agreeable heckling where they're like they're with you. They're like they're right behind you. It's like you got an echo.
Right.
You really don't need it, but you understand that they're excited and you see the energy. It's positive energy.
Right.
And then you got the other side where it's just, you know, because in New York I came up under like the Chitlin circuit.
Okay.
So in the Chitlin circuit, it's like a lot of bar shows.
Okay.
So it's a difference where you go to a comedy club where people pay money to see this, and you're doing comedy in a bar where they might be there for the comedy, they might not. They're there for a drink, and they might tune in, they might not. They might care about the show, they might not.
Right.
You know, and that's the kind of crowd you're dealing with. And under those circumstances, you get a lot of hecklers.
Right.
And I came up and I dealt with that shit. And like I said, it's just a broad range of the good, positive heckling where they're just like right behind you and just yelling out everything you say and agreeing with you. And, you know, that's harmless.
Right.
And then you got the heckling where, who knows, man, it might be a thug in the back or a group of thugs in the back. And one thing leads to another. And next thing you know, you like that dude, from Alabama, the comedian from Alabama who was dodging the mic stand. Did you see that video that went viral?
No. Oh wait, I think I did on World Star, I believe. I gotta double check.
The dude jumped on stage, he's swinging the mic stand at him, then he picks up the stool, he throws the stool at him.
Oh man. I mean, is anything like that, but not that to that extreme, but has something like that happened to you?
Yeah. One time this guy got in my face and was, you know, he acted like he wanted to fight, but nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
You know, security came and broke it up, but it wasn't nothing serious. It wasn't like an actual physical fight.
Right.
But yeah, dude did approach me once.
So he started with you, or you kind of like said a joke and then he said like, "Get off stage, buddy," or something?
I was talking about, you know, guys with little dicks.
Okay.
And he's like, "Hey, yo, I don't appreciate all that little dick shit you talking about, man." Just blew up his own spot.
Right. Hopefully he was by himself and not with his shorty, because I would have felt bad.
No, and you know, I forgot exactly what it was, but you know, it was just something where I think it was a misunderstanding where, you know, he thought I was talking to him, but I wasn't, and you know, just people just be drunk and just be finding any reason to
use that liquor curve.
Try to show off or in front of a girl or something, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's another thing I worry about too, man. You know, guys trying to show off in front of a girl.
Yeah. Get them beat up. For real.
That would do it too.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, some people are sensitive sometimes to jokes or get offended, but if that's the case, you shouldn't have been there. Like, you know, I find it surprising how when I go to comedy shows with my girl and people come in and they sit right in the front, you know, as a comedy attendee, you never sit in the front if you don't want to get heckled. And then they always like go crazy when the guy's heckling. They're like, you sitting right in front of him, you're a prime target. You're like, he's like the horse with the blinders on, looking right at you. So you're a super target. But it never bothered me to be heckled. I mean, I'd be like, whatever, you know. I'm leaving with this shorty, you know, we good. You know, I ain't worried about nothing. But yeah, man, so, but being that people may get so sensitive, do you put boundaries on your jokes, or do you pretty much say what you want?
Well, not to backtrack, but also about the heckling thing too, is that it's also important to look like a professional with that.
Okay.
Because a lot of comedians, they'll lose it, and they'll get angry, and they'll start saying mean stuff that's not even funny. And what makes
I've seen that too.
And now it's like they're just arguing back and forth. It's not even funny anymore. And so it's important to look like a professional and look like you always have it under control, and you're always keeping it light and always keeping it funny. No matter where they try to take it, you just keep bouncing back with showing them that you're faster and smarter by keeping it funny.
Right.
And
you expected this to happen.
Yeah, and to answer your next question, that's what I look for too. I always just try to make sure that I don't try to restrict anything.
Okay.
And that brings me to what my special, my 1 hour special. It's going to be called "Say Hello to the Bad Guy." And the reason why is because it's like that Scarface monologue. You know, you people need people like me to point your finger and say, "There's the bad guy."
Right.
And that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be like, "Yo, you know, there's a lot of things happening and going on that nobody's talking about."
Right.
So you know what? I'm going to be here to be the one to bring it up and tell and be like, you know, so you can point your finger at me and call me the bad guy. I'm going to talk about it.
That's hot, man. When's your expecting air date for that?
It's in the works, man. You know, I would love to get it on Netflix. That's my dream. I want to get it on Netflix. But you know, it's so many other possibilities now. That's the beauty of digital media now.
Right.
You know, that people are having specials like on all these networks.
Right.
You know, but Netflix would be ideal
It's a wave, yeah.
It's just, you know. It's such a difference asking someone to tune in to a specific day on a specific time,
right?
And if they miss it, they got to catch the rerun, rather than being like, "You got Netflix? Watch it tonight when you get home."
Yeah, and I think everybody's kind of moving in that direction. You know, getting the Hulu, the Netflix, Amazon Prime, as opposed to getting basic cable. You know what I'm saying? It's actually less to get the Hulus and all that, and they have more titles that you can watch at your leisure. You know, you don't gotta wait for a specific day and time or whatever. So, you know, I think that'll work for you, man.
We ain't got time to be tuning in.
Yeah, right.
Who got time to tune in?
That's hilarious, man. So tell me, what's your plans to advance your career? Because I'm glad you mentioned the whole getting the special. I'm starting to see a lot of comedians, you know, especially the legends from our era, getting these specials and hearing about them getting some big checks for those specials. So tell me, what is your goals to advance your career to the next level? Are you just, you know, you mentioned you write, you act, do comedy. Do you want to focus on just one thing, focus on all of them and bring that up? You know, start your own company doing it? Like, tell me more.
Well, you know, I was doing all of this in New York all this time.
Okay.
You know, I grew up in New York, started stand-up in New York, been doing stand-up for over 10 years in New York. With some acting, I booked some stuff in New York too, you know, Cop Out and all that stuff. And so, you know, I relocated to LA like 2.5 years ago.
Right.
No, actually more than that. It's almost going to be 3. And so, you know, basically what my initiative on coming out here was to still be present and active in the stand-up, but to also be trying to do more acting as well. So this whole leap of faith in coming out here is, you know, basically me trying to advance my acting.
Gotcha.
You know, do more acting. But, you know, stand-up is my first love.
Right.
That ain't going nowhere, you know?
Better not. I mean, shit brought you here.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, come out here, do the auditions, do the classes, acting classes, improv classes, you know, try to get on as many shows as I can, spread my name with the stand-up. And, you know, I gotta start being more digitally savvy. I gotta start, like, pumping more videos and more content and, you know, doing all the stuff that I'm seeing everyone else doing, you know? And you know, like you said, some of it is good, some of it isn't. I feel like I could contribute to some of that,
right?
The good shit,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just trying to do what you're doing, bro. I wanna try to make money from either acting and stand up, and then once I get the money from that, I could put my producer's hat on, and now I could probably get behind the camera,
right?
You know, and now I could do, you know, either a short or an animated movie. I have an animated feature.
Oh, really?
And you know, or you know, a TV show, or you know, something behind the camera,
right?
You know, it's just finding the money. That's the part. You know?
Yeah, I like to put the idea together first, and then I'll find the money once the idea is presented. You know, because I mean, from the advice that was given to me was, you know, always make sure you're constantly creating, having the content. So when you present these things, you know, they already got the money, the producers and the people you're trying to sell this to. So you just want to present the idea first, and then you worry about the money later. If you worry about the money first, then you're never going to get the content.
You're never going to finish the project.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel you on that. Okay. So now, well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, you know, you're advancing your career, trying to act and do your thing. And I've did some homework on you. You know, you were on Orange is the New Black as Arturo. You worked on The Following with Kevin Bacon. You know, so tell me about those experiences. You know, I see you worked on the Monique Show as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, my first movie was Cop Out.
Okay.
That was a dream come true. That was, you know, Bruce Willis, Tracy Morgan, and a bunch of other people that was, you know, and, you know, it was a little unreal, man, because I thought that, you know, being a comedian, I thought my first movie was going to be something like, you know, like Friday, or like Soul Plane, or The Cookout. Or, you know, I thought it was going to be like one of those
hood classics.
Hood classics.
Yeah.
And it ended up being this big budget Warner Brothers thing with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And it blew me away, you know. And so I got to play the brother of Guillermo Diaz, who was the guy who played, you know, Huck in Scandal.
Yeah.
And he's also, you know, plays, what is it, Scarface in Half Baked.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. That's my boy right there, man. The Kill Killer Bee.
The Kill Killer Bee.
Yeah, that's my guy right there, man.
He plays my brother in the movie. Stifler from American Pie was in it. You know, it was just, I was blown away, man. We shot it in my hometown. You know, they shot some of it in Brooklyn, some of it in Queens.
Yeah.
So now I'm on set with my friends.
Right.
You know, my friends.
Tracy Morgan's from Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool,
yep.
Cool.
So now I'm on set with my friends, and they're seeing all of this shit really coming to life. You know, all of this stuff that we dreamed about, they're seeing it actually happening. And it was sweet, man. It was sweet to see that. It was sweet for me to be able to go back home and show them, look, you know, this is what I've been running around doing all this time.
Yeah.
You know, this is what it was for. And, you know, Kevin Bacon was cool. Kevin, we shot it in a prison in upstate New York.
Yeah.
You know, that was The Following. That show had a big following.
Yeah, I remember.
And, you know, we didn't get to talk much. It was like one of those things where it's like small talk at the end.
Yeah.
But still a cool guy, you know? That's what kind of made me come out here, was that, you know, these things that I was booking, even the Orange is the New Black, it was like a quick little newspaper stand scene.
Yeah.
You know, is that a lot of the things originate here, and then when they shoot it out there, they're casting the locals so they don't got to fly people in.
Right.
So the locals get all the little roles.
Right.
So I was just tired of that. I was tired of, you know, being like the
background.
The background, dude. You know, one line, two lines, three. You know, so I wanted to come where it begins, where it originates, to try to get in on the ground level. You know, so when you do a lot of these projects, you're working for like a day or two. You don't really get to establish a relationship or a friendship with these people because you're not around that long.
Yeah.
You get to have like you get to get acquainted.
Right.
But that's about it. You know. But even despite all that, even if it was just for a brief time, it was dope, man. You know, it was dope. When Orange came out, I had no idea what it was because it was the first season. Nobody knew what it was. I had no idea it was going to be as big as it was. And it was one of the shows that put Netflix on the map too.
Right.
You know, like House of Cards and Orange and like those shows really, Narcos.
Yeah.
You know. So it was still dope. It was still dope to be a part of the whole process.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to know what it feels like now to be like a series regular, where your character develops, and you get to go through these things, and you get to build real bonds with your peers, you know? Because, you know, if you book a show, you know, you guys are going to be spending so much time together. That's like, you know, relationships that are going to last a lifetime.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
I also did a bunch of stuff no one knows about. I booked a pilot for HBO, and it was directed by Spike Lee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the person that I was in it with was John Boyega, the dude from Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my mom was played by Rosie Perez. It had a bunch of people in it, man. And it was basically, the producers were Mike Tyson and Doug Ellen, who's the creator of Entourage.
Oh, wow. That's one of my favorite shows right there.
Yeah. They produced it. The writer was Ridley.
Okay.
Who won John Ridley, he won the Oscar for 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He wrote it. We shot it. I was in the scene with John, and HBO passed on it. This was before Star Wars, before The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's crazy, man.
And, you know, I was depressed for like a month behind that. I thought I was on my way.
Yeah.
You know when you think you already made it.
Yeah, you definitely can't get discouraged in this game, because like you said, it goes up and down, you know, and that kind of weeds out the ones that are here to stay and the ones that are not built for this, you know, built for this lifestyle. You know, but I want to get into, you know, I've seen a lot of headlines about Monique. I know you worked on the Monique show quite some time. Yeah, and then she wanted to boycott Netflix for gender bias, you know, and it was due to her not receiving a higher offer than what the comedians are getting for their specials. And then when I say comedians, I mean the comedians that are more, I don't want to say relevant because she is a legend, but that have done a lot recently. They're getting more, and then they offer her, I believe it was like $500,000, and then they got like Amy Schumer getting like $25 million, Chris Brown getting like $20 million, whatever. You know, she wanted to boycott Netflix for being gender biased. Do you think? Do you believe there's gender bias? It's like I have another question within that question, but do you believe that there's gender bias going on in Hollywood?
Yeah, you know, that's the whole movement that they have now. The Me Too, and what is it? Not Anymore, or
something like that. I'm more familiar with the Me Too.
I'm so sorry. I don't even remember. I feel like I'm being all insensitive to the women's issues, but that's what this whole thing, the whole Oscars and all this stuff that we've been seeing. That's what all that's been about. You know, because you know, deep down inside, we know that there's right and wrong and principles and things like that you know we should uphold. But you know, when the players with the money are in control of you know your work and your career, it's not as easy to just you know come out and talk about stuff like that. Right. And it's been like that for such a long time. You know. I mean, was I surprised about Harvey Weinstein? No. Yeah. You know, I'm not surprised. He looks like the kind of guy that probably would do something like that. But, you know, with Monique, I feel like, am I going to boycott Netflix for that cause? No. Yeah. I'm not. But if they did give Amy Schumer $13 million and they offer Monique $500,000. You know, at the same time, I don't think that I'm going to boycott Netflix for Monique, but at the same time, I don't think Monique is worth 1/16 of what Amy Schumer is worth. I think Monique's worth a lot more than that. Right. You know? So that's my stance on it. I don't feel like she should have like made this personal issue into trying to boycott Netflix and make it seem like this whole gender thing, you know, even though it could be that, because that's real. Yeah. But I do think Netflix could give her a little more money. Yeah, I think she's worth if you feel Amy's worth that, then I don't think Monique is worth a small fraction of her. Right, that she's not that far off. I mean, she's had successful shows, has toured with other female comedians and male comedians and killed the stages, you know, had her own shows and sold out. But when she had the interview on with Charlamagne the God, he made a good point that it seems like, you know, the bigger companies like Netflix and Hulu or whatever, they are
kind of catering the specials to the artists who've done stuff recently, and seeing that they're attracting a higher number of audience within a shorter amount of time, as opposed to someone who's been doing it for a long time but may have had gaps within that career. You see what I'm saying? So in my opinion, based on what he said, I feel like they are looking at it as just business kind of thing. They feel like if they go with Amy Schumer, who just sold out the Garden last night, and Monique, who hasn't sold out the Garden in, let's say for example, like a year or two, they're gonna go with Amy because she's fresh talent, killing it right now, and offer her the big check. Now, I think that's probably what I think. It's just business with them. They don't really care.
I mean, that is a main thing, relevance.
Yeah.
It's like, who's doing stuff now? Who's out now? Or how even with the, acting resumes, it's like, what's the last thing you booked? How long ago?
Right. Yeah.
They want to know stuff like that. But what's more interesting is that now it seems like it's less about your resume and more about how many followers you got.
Yeah, man. I think that's exactly what this game of entertainment is catered towards. It's like, that you have people following you or not. Because if I was, the label owner or whatever the case may be, and I wanted to sign an artist, I would look at how many followers you have, because that's potential people who's gonna buy the CD. It just makes sense, So I guess if you have that hat on, like the investor hat, the company owner's hat, or whatever, I guess you're only looking at
You're just crunching numbers,
right?
Yeah.
So, but it sucks for the artist, especially someone as talented as Monique, that has to go through that at this point in her career, because she's a legend. I mean, she could stop now and die a legend. You know what I'm saying? And
that's the peaks and valleys that I'm talking about. Her going from Oscar winner to her talking about being blacklisted in Hollywood. And trying to recover from that, and trying to figure out, where do I go from here, and what do I do next, and that's what longevity does. It makes you try to figure out, how do I remain relevant? Where am I going to go next? Where what do I want to do now? And then you got these obstacles that you got to try to figure out, how am I going to get around these?
Yeah.
Just like what's her name that got in trouble for holding up the decapitated head of Trump?
Oh yeah. I got her face right in my brain. I know you're talking the redhead lady, right?
Redhead lady.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I forgot her name.
That's so messed up that we're talking about relevance and we can't bring up her name. We're like, who's that
lady? The funny one. Yeah, I remember her.
That just goes to show perfectly. I mean, no, but she's huge. Anyway.
Holding her head. Oh yeah, she got in trouble for holding the head.
Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin. Yep.
Kathy Griffin.
There we go.
Same thing with her. She was a huge comedian, still is, and she made this video recently about how she don't have no work. Yeah, she was like, please, I don't have any work.
Yeah.
Send me work.
That's crazy, man.
And that's on that level. I've experienced it on a minor level where, I was on BET and all this stuff, and now I'm trying to figure out what's my next move.
Right.
Imagine like on that level,
Yeah, it could be very drastic, especially for your pockets when you're at that level. I'm sure you're used to getting those big checks, and when they don't come anymore, and you accumulated stuff that cost a lot, to keep up with it might hurt. So.
Yeah, for real. Your cars and houses and all that, you got to keep up with that lifestyle.
Well, speaking about holding people's heads up, what do you feel about Donald Trump as our president?
I don't know. Like, where do I begin? I think, first of all, we got to get down to the root of how we got into this situation, and that is from the Electoral College. Those motherfuckers gave us Trump when we asked for Clinton. We voted for Clinton, and they gave us Bush when we voted for Gore. And I feel like, I don't know why so many people make a big deal about voting when our votes don't count. How do we pick one person and we get up the other person? I think the Electoral College is actually a curtain to try to keep us from true democracy. It kind of like it curves what we really want. Like,
right.
we know what we want, but it's monitoring and curving it just in case. Because think about it, what does it really make sense? It's basically saying that people are being unfairly represented in these elections because other cities and states have larger population than their town.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So they're trying to even it out by giving more votes than what the actual population is, so they can be contenders with the rest of these big, larger cities. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then what is the purpose of voting in the first place? The purpose of voting in the first place is majority wins.
Right.
So if it is a bunch of people from a small town who pick this person, and it's a bunch of people from a large town or city who pick this person, then yeah, guess what? The city wins, because it's voting is about majority winning. That's what the purpose of a vote is. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how we vote for one person and end up with the person we didn't get, and then still be telling other people, oh, you got to get out there and vote. Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. We did. And we still didn't get what we asked for. Exactly. So I think the first thing we need to do along with kicking Trump out of there, mm-hmm. is kicking that damn electoral college out of there and putting the vote back into the people's hands. No electoral college votes. We need only popular vote.
Right.
Only popular vote.
That would make sense. It would be ideal, but only in a perfect world.
I think it's a possibility. I think if enough more people start talking about that and making noise about it,
yeah,
I think that we could possibly, bring it back to just a straight democracy where it's just, the voter's choice.
Yeah. You're Puerto Rican, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any family out there suffering with no electricity and all that stuff still?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah. Yeah, and what's also unfortunate is that I don't really speak to them that often.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like that sometimes. Yeah.
My mom is more in touch with them than I am, but she says that no one's dead, thank God. Mm-hmm. But she says that I actually did have my birthday and I did a fundraiser, like a comedy show fundraiser.
Oh, okay, to help them with the electricity?
To help the Puerto Ricans in need.
Good job, man. That's great.
And by that I mean me. I kept all the money because I'm Puerto Rican and I'm in need, motherfucker. No, I'm just playing it. When you do the Facebook thing, it goes straight to them. You don't even get to see that money.
Right.
It goes straight to the charity.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool as hell.
But even with him just being like, these people, a lot of them lost their homes, they lost their families. Mm-hmm. And Trump is like, and I gotta tell you, Puerto Rico, you are putting our budget out of whack. Yeah. As if though they asked to be in this awful situation.
Exactly, and you're over here making jokes, playing basketball with paper towels and stuff. It was crazy, man. I mean,
but it's a real disappointment to go from Obama to Trump. Just when you thought we were going in a different direction,
right?
But I think the core of our disappointment mm-hmm. behind everything that we've been seeing since Trump's election stems from us being fooled into believing throughout the Obama administration that this country was a different place.
Yeah, right.
But it ain't. It's the same place, mm-hmm. and Trump was here to remind us of that.
Yeah.
It's the same place. And he just came to send the memo. But I do think that we're, becoming more open, mm-hmm. more liberal. It's slowly, but little by little. You know why? Because y'all white kids, y'all white parents' kids are listening to that trap music. Trap is here to save America.
Oh man, I love it. Tell me, do you get a lot of support from the Latino community?
I do, but it's like the New York, it's the American Latinos. It's not the real ones from back home. It's like the ones like me, the city ones that some of them don't speak Spanish, some of them do, but they're Americanized. you know, growing up Latino, man, and not knowing Spanish is tough because it's like, you know, you don't feel like you fit in here.
Right.
You don't feel like you fit in there. You know, you're like, where the hell who do I hang out with?
That's how it was for me. I grew up in the Bronx, and you know, my family's Dominican, but I was just in the house. As soon as I stepped out the house, it was, you know, everybody was black. So I was like, all right. So I kind of grew up with those mannerisms, and English my first language. And I didn't learn Spanish until I was like 13, 14. By then, I already had cornrows, you know what I'm saying? My pants were sagging, so I feel you on that. It's like, where do you fit in at? You know, you're trying to find yourself.
And my neighborhood, you know, I didn't grow up in a Latino neighborhood. Like, when I was in elementary school, all my classmates were like Italian and Jewish. And then by the time I reached high school, in the same neighborhood, all of my classmates were Jamaican and Haitian.
Oh, wow.
It just switched over just like that quickly, from elementary to high school. And so I went from being like the only Latino in the class to being, well, the only Latino and a bunch of white kids, to the exact opposite, to being the only light person in there.
Yeah.
You know? And I think, like, maybe if I grew up in a Latino neighborhood, I would have been a little more savvy. Even if I didn't know all the language, I would have knew more shit. I probably would have danced salsa better. I would have went to more salsa parties.
Right.
You know, I would have hung out with that more. But instead, I was in the basement bashments, listening to reggae. You know, and dance hall. You know, that kind of shit.
Have you ever gotten compared to John Leguizamo?
Yeah, all the time. You know, people always tell me I look like him. I've been getting it for the longest.
I think that's a compliment, man. You know, he's been at the top of his game. You know, he represent Puerto Rico also. So
he's actually Colombian.
Oh, really? Oh, damn! I take it back. I was just kidding.
But no, yeah. But John's always been for the people, the Latinos and the New Yorkers, and you know all that shit. And you know, but and now he's got the new one out. His new
Yeah, the stand up.
Yeah, it's Latin History for Dummies.
I gotta see that.
Yeah,
that sounds hilarious. On Netflix?
Yeah. Oh, no. It's actually like it's live now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where he is, but it's live.
I gotta check.
I don't mind when people tell me I look like him. He's not a bad looking guy, you know. It's not like they're saying, yo, you know, you look like that guy from Machete.
From Machete?
Like, yo, who? Danny Trejo? No, please, anything but him, please. That motherfucker's ugly, bro. Anything but Machete, please.
Oh man.
You know, Carlitos Way was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, Benny Blanco. Yeah, he played Benny. That's dope. So what are you doing to give back to your community? You know, I see you got this. You kind of built your own platform in a comedy club to have up and comers come do their thing. So tell me more about that.
Right, I started this weekly show. It's an after-work show downtown LA called No Filter Fridays.
Okay.
And it's basically, you know, going back to what I said about my special, where I just want to say stuff that people are afraid to say. So that's what No Filter Fridays is. It's the raw, uncut comedians that come in and they just talk with no filter. And it's just coming out. You know? So it's just basically saying, like, comics that don't give a fuck. You know? And I did that because, you know, one, I need to stay on stage.
Right.
So even when I'm not on stage, at least I know once a week I got a spot where I can work out stuff.
Right.
You know? Two, when you do stuff and you get it back sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I feel like it puts you more in the comedy community. So now you're calling this guy, you're putting him on your show. He's putting you on his show.
Right.
And it just gets you immersed more with that world and that community. You know? And, you know, those are the two main reasons, you know. I got a gym that I could work out at, and I got a place where I can put other people on, and hopefully in return, maybe they might throw me something.
Right.
You know? And so I like it, man. I'm excited about it. It's called the Redwood Bar and Grill. It's this bar where they have like live bands, so they got all this dope music coming through, like punk and rock bands, and they got a stage, so it's set up already for entertainment.
Right.
So that's what I wanted. I was like looking for places that have live music, so I knew it would have a stage, it would have the sound, the lights, And so yeah, I started it on my birthday. The first show was the show that I did the fundraiser for Puerto Rico.
Okay.
That was like a month ago, and we've been going ever since. It's been like 4 weeks now.
That's awesome, man. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. It's good that you're helping young talent get on as yourself trying to get on in the process. Some people wait till they on. Lord know when that's going to be to put somebody else on. So that's good that you're doing it in the beginning stage, kind of building that foundation with you. You know what I'm saying? As far as supporters go.
Exactly.
Now, I think honestly with that idea, No Filter Fridays, that'll be a good niche for a Netflix special. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of being the host and still doing a set, and then having newcomers come up under you. You know, I haven't seen anything like that. Every Netflix special that I've seen thus far, it's only that one person, that one name. You know what I'm saying? It's never me, a group or bringing people up. Like just that niche of bringing people up. I think the inspiring comedians might look at that and it might give them a sense of hope and might want to come in contact with you to be a part of the Netflix thing, you know, to kind of get their way into the top. But still, you got the platform, you got the check, you know what I'm saying? So I think you should definitely use
anything is possible, bro. You see that thing now, Two Dope Queens?
I've seen billboards for it. I haven't watched it yet, but tell me about it.
Two female comics that, you know, started a podcast. It got so big, now it's on HBO. And what they do is, so they'll talk about stuff, and then like in between they'll bring up comedians.
Oh wow!
And comedians will go and do like 10 minutes or something like that.
Oh okay. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
But that just goes to show that, you know, all of that stuff is possible now. You know, times are changing now, bro. You know, Wakanda forever.
Yeah, we gotta keep up. Wakanda.
You know, all that shit is gonna change, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it's changing right before our eyes. Like you said, we just gotta keep up with the time. You know what I'm saying? Stay relevant. You know, through all that ups and downs and stuff and change. But yeah, man. So what's next for you, man?
So I think what's next for me is actually what's next for you as well. That was like one of those things in Comics Unleashed. With Byron Allen. They already know the question that's coming up, but he asks like, "So, what do you got going on?"
Yeah, but he's already set up for it.
He already set up for it. But basically, me and this guy right here, we shot a pilot. It's called LA Connect. And it's interesting, man. It's basically about a ring of LA drug dealers posing as Uber drivers. But so, you know, it was a lot of fun to shoot. We shot it at Harvard Studios. Shout out Bentley Evans, Joe.
Yeah, Joseph Owens, man.
Joseph Owens, who directed us and also wrote it. And it's gonna be fun, man. I mean, you heard what I said. That's exactly what it's about.
Yeah. Our scene was more in the construction worker environment. I was actually the hiring manager at that point, and him and the other lead, they wanted to get a job from me, so I did the whole interview process. It was pretty entertaining. I can't wait for you guys to see it. LA Connect is coming out soon, so I'll definitely keep you posted on that release date when it airs. For sure. So where can the people follow you, man, so they can keep up with everything you got going on?
Hit me up on social media, Cory fucking Fernandez, Cory with no E, fucking with no G. Fernandez.
Straight like that. Well, my brother Cory, again, it was a pleasure having you. Yeah, he liked the fist bump. You know, I shake hands, but it's all good. Yeah, but no, like I said, it was a pleasure having you. Like I said, man, I've been a fan of your work for a very long time.
Thank you, man.
I'm proud of you representing us Latinos and really making us stand out, making us proud, you know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay focused, stay hungry, stay humble. And keep going for it, man. I'm riding with you to the end, my brother.
NY in the building, BKBX.
All day, every day, man. Twice on Sunday, Dr. Banky and TTV. Your host, Johnny Vegas, and I'm out.
I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I wanna